Hey guys, it's Ty here, and in this bag I got items Nintendo does not want me to own. 3DS games, not for resale! Let's get into it, before the Nintendo ninjas get me. Let's go! I think I'm safe. What is going on, everyone? It's Ty here, and today I got a little bit of a mystery package, even though if you read the title, it is not that much of a mystery anymore. I picked up some more not for resale games. I actually got this from the same person who got me my Kirby Extra Epic Yarn one. And I want to say shout out to Josiah. I'll have his link to their eBay shop before we get into this in the description below. They have a lot of not for resale games available. And let's talk about not for resale games in general and picking them up, what they're all about. Let's get into it. So while I'm talking here, I will be showing off on this little camera display over here the games that I did pick up. This is not a sponsored video, to be clear. This is just, I want to shout out because he gave me a bit of a deal on this. And the other thing is, I encourage people to kind of get these if you're kind of like, what else do I want to collect for the 3DS? There is some really neat stuff here that this seller only has. Like, not certain not for resale games are kind of hard to find other people selling them. Most of the times it's like if someone's selling a not for resale game, they're like one of the very few or the only person selling that. So yeah, not for resale games. They were kiosks. Like you'd find like you go to like a Best Buy, Walmart, and boom, you could play a 3DS. I think we're all familiar with what a kiosk for games are, especially nowadays. We got the 3DS and I mean, not 3DS. We have like a Switch playable kiosk, but it's kind of odd because, I mean, Xbox and PlayStation, I remember seeing PS4 playable ones, but I have not seen a PS5 playable or a Series X playable. That's probably due to a little thing called COVID, partially, I'm guessing, because, well, they don't want people touching the controllers. I know that, like, some places by me just recently reinstated to be able to play the Switch one. So maybe one day in the future we'll see more playable kiosks, but it might start becoming a relic of the past. This Kirby Planet Robobot one is really cool. So yeah, I don't really know the rarity of these things. You know, I don't know how many are in the world. But here's my guess thing, right? A lot of the titles you're gonna start seeing are like either late 3DS titles or really early 3DS titles. There's not a ton in between, which makes me wonder why. I mean, there seems to be some sort of gap sometimes. Like this Hey Pikmin one, I'm sure there's not as many as something like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't got an example on hand. I'm sure there's probably not as many as, well, something like Star Fox 3D. I'm sure there's more of these because this was a lot earlier than Hey Pikmin, because Hey Pikmin was a Switch 3DS game, and that's what I call them. It was into the Switch's life cycle when it came out. Yeah, so I think people will start to realize that how limited these things are once, you know, more people eventually start picking them up. I think that's bound to happen eventually. So I'd get them now when you can, because look, here's the thing, right? There can only be so many kiosks out there. I highly doubt Nintendo printed more of these games than kiosks ever, because that would make no sense. Why would they make tons of extras of these? And that's the thing. Another thing about these, they're supposed to get sent back. This says pretty much all of these have a sticker on them saying not for resale, demo, game pack only. They're supposed to get sent back. I was told in the comments what happens, or what's supposed to happen is they get sent back, and then they on the pins back here, they get all scratched up. They basically destroy them, which is kind of crazy to me. But I mean, it doesn't make sense, but makes sense. Like, oh, that's believable type of ordeal. I guess I can't back up that claim. Believe it or not, I don't actually work at Nintendo. Here's a Yoshi's Woolly World one. This one I think is also going to be kind of rare. Another late 3DS title. So yeah, another thing you're probably noticing is some of these games didn't even have demos, like Pilot Wing Resort, I mean, Zelda Ocarina of Time. I will say, I tried getting some gameplay. We're not going to really be doing too much gameplay here, because Thing is, you shouldn't be buying these for any sort of gameplay. They're kind of neat, some of them. It's more of a collector's piece. I would really like to have like a 3DS display where like I had my own little kiosk. That'd be kind of cool. This Nintendogs plus Cat ones is one I also have like never seen online. So yeah, that was 16 not for resale games, just to clarify. I believe they're all available still on their shop as I'm recording this. I guess I can't verify by the time upload into being done, but I do want to talk a little more about what's on these things. Now, if you see a game that has a demo or had a demo on the eShop, that's what is on here from my understanding. But now the games that didn't have a demo, I was trying to get footage of it and I literally just could not get it to work. Not the game itself, more so my software. I mean, what my picks were for ones to get. Here we go. So here's Kirby Planet Robobot. This one is kind of a rare-ish one. This is also a very popular game. If you want to get a demo cart of the most popular or the best 3DS game, this is definitely one of them. It's probably, I think out of all the ones that I have here, it's like the best game that got a demo. For you Yokai Watch fans, boom, Yokai Watch 2 Bony Spirits. It says Bony Spirits, but it's actually both games because there is a demo on the eShop, but it actually also has Fleshy Souls on it. So I think that's really interesting that they used the normal cartridge, but they didn't alter it at all. They didn't write on it or anything that it also has Fleshy Souls in it. Zelda Ocarina of Time. Now this doesn't have a demo, and I did boot it up. I was trying to get footage earlier. This game, you get to play like through 3 different levels. One's like the forest, one's like a little after the forest, and then one's like a little boss. It's very interesting, and one funny thing is one of the loading screens, it tells you to not pull too hard on the 3DS cord it's attached to. I think that's so odd. I got a question about this in my Kirby video, I believe. So I mentioned how you can't hit the home button to leave, and they asked what happens if you hit the power button and then can you hit the home button? So the games that don't have demos, they don't read as demos, they read as their own game. If I were to put like the Yokai Watch one in, it would say it's a demo on the bottom, but this doesn't actually read as a demo, it reads as its own game. And so if I I can't hit the home button, but if I hit the power button and home button, then I can actually leave, which is really interesting. But something like this, I'm locked. I can't even hit the power button. I hit the power button, I have to hold it until it like fully turns off. Now this is a really rare one online. I could not like find much else about it. I mean, it's been preserved on like the Kirby one, there's pictures of it, but this one is really unique. I think this is one of the weirdest 3DS games. I don't know how they got it running on a 3DS and it wasn't a new 3DS exclusive. That does have a demo though. Here's Yoshi's Woolly World. I believe this is another one with a demo. I just think this game is really odd to get on 3DS, and it's kind of like the definitive version of it too, so I think it's another one to get because it's one of those later ones, and I'm sure there are less of those than some others. And hey, Pikmin, another good example if you like the Pikmin series. Pikmin series is kind of crazy, some of those later titles. I really think Hey Pikmin is not an underrated 3DS title because it's not really that great, but it's more so a 3DS title that is getting looked over in terms of how rare it probably is. I mean, yeah, you can get sealed copies online sometimes still, but it's only going to be so many because it definitely did not do good. Star Fox 64 3D, this is another one that didn't get an actual demo, so it's pretty interesting. It like when on the home screen, it'll even say like the battery, not on the home screen in the game, it shows like the time and the battery of the 3DS, which is really weird to me. It's like, why does it show the battery of the 3DS in the game? It's like these things were plugged in and being constantly charged at a store. Why would anyone need to know that? And we got the Smash Bros demo. Now this is a very iconic demo in my opinion. This was the Nintendo Club Reward demo, or was it mine? No, it was still Nintendo Club, I believe, or Club Nintendo, not Nintendo Club. Very iconic demo. It's the same one, but on a cartridge. I think if you're a Smash Bros. Fan and you collect like Smash Bros., I think it's kind of cool to go with Amiibo and stuff like that. It's just a piece of history that is really unique to like own. Like, here's the thing, right? A lot of these have been preserved online. The Kirby one somehow, I don't know how it hasn't, but it hasn't been preserved online. And I don't really know how to do that. But the thing is, it doesn't really need to be. The only difference is that you can't hit the home button. But I do think it's interesting that it hasn't, and I wish I knew how, but I don't. I digress about that. Like, a lot of these have been already preserved online, and so you're kind of maybe wondering, what's the point? And I guess I can't really convince you if you're asking what the point is, because I think the point is just having a little novelty piece. I mean, you can say that about every 3DS game, that you can just emulate it or get it, or it's preserved or whatnot. And yeah, but I don't know, it's just kind of neat, I think, having a physical version of something that, for most people, they can only get digitally. I mean, realistically, I should only be able to get these digitally. They're property of Nintendo, but they fall off the truck one way or another and end up into fans' hands. And I wouldn't say do this for the value. I know I talked about the value of some of them and they're rare or not, and it's like, you know, these will eventually become a lot more sought after. People will end up eventually buying these, and everyone will have their own little piece of the pie, and then eventually people are going to be like, oh, I wish I got that, and then it's like, what? That's going to be this much? Because we've seen in other consoles, like 64 games, not for resale ones, they've gone up, but those might be a little different cases. You know, there's DS games out there, not for resale ones, and I mean, some of those are worth a pretty penny, some of them aren't. I mean, like, look, being realistic here, Pilot Wings was probably actually a really big one, because this was a kind of a big deal. I highly doubt anyone's going to be like, oh my gosh, the Pilot Wings won $1 billion. Because it's not that crazy of a game in the first place. But like something like Smash Bros. Or Ocarina of Time, I mean, I don't even remember ever seeing this demo in a store, and this was a pretty big 3DS game, and it's also a big Nintendo franchise is the thing too. So if I don't recommend doing it for any sort of value, but if you do, you know, collect the main ones, collect the main series. Like, that's the ones people are going to really care about. There's going to be a few people like me that would like to get them all. So if you're kind of torn between on getting a bunch of multiple ones or getting one that is kind of more iconic and a little more expensive, just do the latter, because they're not really that crazy of a game. It's just a novelty. And so that's my thoughts on not for resale games. Should you buy them? That's up to you. But to me, I think they're really nice little steps above 3DS collecting, and keeps it a little interesting. Because I know I keep drilling through the head, but they aren't a game. They are little bits of a game that, for the most part, are pretty easy to get a hold of. I mean, you can still get a ton of these demos online on the eShop, is what I mean by online. Whew. But yeah, that's the world of Nintendo games that Nintendo doesn't even want you to own. Ooh. And with that all being said, I appreciate you if you made it to the end of this video, but I gotta get going, everyone. I got Nintendo doesn't want me owning these games. They're still after me. I gotta go. See ya.